We've already talked about doing personal planning and doing a consolidated plan and follow-up. The next thing a constructor needs to know is how to plan a building site project, and this is the subject of this video. The start out of such a process would be to look at the drawings. I've got a very limited drawing here of a cellar project, which consists of some excavation works, foundation plinths, terrain slab, and some outer walls and inner walls, some of which are cast in situ, others are prefabricated, and then some prefabricated decking as well as in situ decking on top to complete the project. And after that is done, then there's backfill to complete the level of the surface. In order to start such a pricing project, one has to first and foremost look at the work breakdown structure of the cellar. Here we have the cellar, we have the main components, one of which is the building site. The building site is very important to break down. Then we have the groundworks branch, we have the foundation plinth branch, the walls branch, the slab over the basement, and the terrain slab. We have to identify these levels of work breakdown structure before we start actually pricing. Once each branch is identified, we do a separate cost calculation for each branch. Now here we have the slab over the basement, for example, and here we have the groundworks and the foundation plinths and the building site. Each one of these is saved as a separate file, and then they're all drawn into a common file later on in our collective calculation of the basement project. This is what I suggest that each group does. When the calculations are drawn into one common project estimation, then we can see the total price of the project, and by clicking onto the tab called the Summary tab, we will be able to look at this breakdown and export it to Excel. From Excel we can copy the actual activities and the cost of the calculation as shown here into the MS Project cost column, and then we can link the activities, save a baseline, and follow them up. So that's the procedure for calculation. Here I have the actual sigma calculation of each branch, and this can be done by one branch to each person or 2 branches per person, depending on how many people are in the group. Once that is done, we can open a new file and give it a name, for example, common estimation of basement, and click OK, and we will now see that file open up here. And the next job is to drag and drop each file we've done individually into our common file. And you can see they are now in there. We need to bring these ones over and so forth. Finally, the building site needs to be brought over, and now we have a common calculation here. As you can see, we can close all the other ones down. This leaves us with our common calculation. Here you can see the total price, and if we go into the overview, we can see the breakdown of our calculation. This can now be exported very easily to initially to Excel, and that will open up our Excel file that basically looks like this. This gives us all the activities, as you can see here, and it gives us a picture of our total sales price here, which we can subsequently copy over into our MS project. So first and foremost, I copy these over, right click and copy into my MS project file, and then afterwards I take the sales price and copy them over. Be careful not to copy these summaries of totals over. We only need the actual items and their cost prices, not the sum of them, which is represented on the last line here. copied my activities from the Excel sheet over. I have right-clicked here and inserted a new column where I'll write C for cost and choose cost, and this is my cost column, and then I have copied the respective costs from my Excel sheet over to, in other words, from this area here over to the items in my MS project file, and put them and pasted them in here. I've also indented the activities so that I have titles here. So these are roll-ups of the underlying activities, and I've linked the activities as I have I think suitable. To link them, I've used the predecessors column here, where I've put the number of the predecessor in the column here. I've overlapped where necessary, and now what I've done is I've saved a baseline, and I'm ready to follow up. I'm in the tracking Gantt at the moment, as you can see. So you can see the baseline here. If I went into project and click reports, I would be able to see a baseline here for the costs, for the hours, etc. So now I'm ready to follow up this project on site as it happens. And this ends this preparatory video about setting up the site project for follow-up. The next video will talk about the follow-up.